Welcome back to Steve Robb Reviews. For you that have never seen this channel before, this is a real review channel where I buy everything myself, I review it, and I give you an honest review and an honest opinion. So today, I'm going to be reviewing this. Now the first thing I'd like to say is I bought this about 2 weeks ago and I've used it quite extensively on a project that I'm doing in my basement, and I put down some the click flooring, like the fake hardwood flooring, more or less, that kind of stuff, right? So I put this laminate flooring all the way down, and I bought this tool because, well, I thought it was kind of neat and I could use it myself, right? But part of this review is I'm going to be brutally honest with you. I've been doing this kind of stuff for many, many, many years, and I got away with not using a tool like this. So I'm saying, not trying to sell this tool, that's for sure, because I got away with not using a tool like this for over, say, 40 years. So do I really need this tool that much? Well, absolutely not. And for the vast majority of you watching this video, you don't need this tool either. Why did I buy it? Well, because it's just a neat tool. Cost me 150 bucks. I've got the batteries already. Now, this particular model comes in various forms. You can get it where it's cordless or you have a cord. It comes in various styles and kits. So the model number for my particular one is in the description. But I'm going to display how this actually works and the great features and why I bought this Dewalt multi-tool, well, compared to the other ones out there. And I'm saying all the other ones out there seem to work fine as well. You can get some for like 50 bucks up to $200. It depends what you want, right? But I'm saying you don't need this tool. I think it's slick. I'll get use out of it. And so many tradespersons will get use out of a tool like this as well, whether you're doing, say, renovations on your house, that kind of stuff. But I'm just gonna make a little bit of fun out of some of the videos that I've seen when I did my research on buying this tool, and take a little bit of tongue-in-cheek there. Like, don't get so offended about you watching YouTube videos when somebody says something when they share their opinion. Because my channel, oh yeah, I share my opinion. So let's get to it here, and I'll show you some of the great features of this tool and why I like it. And really, when it comes down to it, that's it, right? And I'm going to show you how neat this tool is, and you decide whether you think this is a tool that would be something that you would consider buying if you would get the use out of it. So let's take a look. Well, let's start off with the features that I really liked on this multi-tool. And this multi-tool came with two cutters. One was strictly for wood, and the other one is bimetal. If you happen to get into like a small little nail, like a brad nail or that kind of stuff, that you could cut it. And I'm going to show you a couple of the different attachments that go on something like this. And they come with so many attachments, from sanding attachment to cutter attachments to there's even blade attachments. So I mean, it is a multi-tool. And the best thing I liked about this, if I could just demonstrate, is the way that this actually loads and unloads the bit. Now if you take a look here, I call it a bit or a cutter. So here's the cutter right here, and you can see all the different splines going all the way around. And you can rotate, and I'll demonstrate this. And here's the cutting edge here, so that's just strictly for using it for wood. But this is just an engineering marvel, this here. So they've got this spring loaded, and you can just load your, well, if I put it in the right way, load it like this, and that's completely straight. Or you can pick a different angle, like every one of them holes are universal to go in all different ways, depending on, if you're in a particular spot where you have to actually, turn it 90 degrees. And what I do is when I'm storing the tool, I just store it upside down like this. Now another good feature is the trigger itself. It's got a light, so the light goes on, and the trigger works in this direction here at the bottom or at the top. And also at the bottom here, you've got 3 speeds. 1, 2, and 3. And there are 3 more or less power levels or torque levels for the cutting attachments or scraper attachment or whatever you have on the front. That's what I've noticed. I've never really noticed much difference in speed. So there's on 3. You hear the difference in the sound? Well, the RPM goes down and also the torque level goes down as well. So depending on what you're doing, right? So that is the unit right there. And another feature is you can lock it on. And another feature that I like as well is you can lock it so that the trigger doesn't go on when it's in, say, like a bag or a toolbox or anything. It just sits there and vibrates because the trigger accidentally got pressed on something. So that's another good feature right there. Now, of course, I've got a small battery on here for mine, which is a 1.5 amp. And I've got 4 amp batteries. But you know what? Just the smallest battery like this, I'm going to say I used it constantly for about maybe 45 minutes. And you can do a lot of work in 45 minutes, right? And this is still the original battery on it. So, you know, it doesn't, you know, draw your battery down all that much. But that's the tool right there. And I don't find it heavy at all. I do find it on the 3rd power setting very, very, well, torquey and powerful. Now, I'm going to show you some things here about what I've seen on other YouTube videos that I didn't know why. I couldn't figure out why they were trying to make this tool look like it can do some stuff that just seemed illogical to me. So let's take a look at some of the YouTube videos that, well, not the YouTube videos themselves, but just the YouTube videos that are out there showing this. And tell me if you've seen one of these videos demonstrating this. So let's get to that next. Well, there you go right there. Hope you can see that, but I've got 3 nails here on the back side, and I got 3 deck screws. Now, nails are not as hard as a deck screw. These are hardened material and they are super hard to cut through. So I've seen so many videos where they take a bimetal tool, and I guess they're trying to demonstrate how great this is for cutting metal, that they will cut through, you know, some nails, and then they'll come to the screws, and it just, most of the time, just tears up the bit something fierce. By the time they get through one, well, you know, some of these bits, they're $10, $15, some are $20. And they sell a lot of bits with carbide tips and all kinds of stuff. $25, $30 to cut metal. I tell you what, there's like 1,000,001 tools out there, you know, that I have, between a cutoff tool, you know, a hacksaw, or a, you know, reciprocating saw, that I can cut stuff like this if I need to. The last thing I'm going to do is come out with one of these. And another thing that they do that I find is just incredible. Now, this is a 2x6, but they will put a 2x4 in their vise and cut the whole 2x4 down using this tool, you know, and going back and forth. And I'm thinking, okay, so what is the reason behind that? I am never going to use this to cut a 2x4, I guarantee you. No way. I mean, I can't see that, but I guess they're trying to demonstrate that it will cut a 2x4. You know, and it's always suggested that, well, you never know what kind of situation you're going to run into where you're going to need this. And I'm thinking, well, maybe if you're a house renovator, I could see somebody who does house restorations and that kind of stuff. You know, I could see that, but how many times cannot put, you know, like a reciprocating saw in there and do it in, you know, a much easier fashion than trying to do something with this. But I am going to show you cutting me a piece of wood here, and I'll show you to demonstrate how it is. But first, let's just take a look at the difference in the bits and or the blades or whatever attachment you're putting on here. But let's do that next. So let's just take a look here, and you can, I'll just try to zoom down here as close as I can, and you can see this is just a regular one here, and this is the one that came with the kit. You know, and this is a bimetal blade, and really it's just the teeth that are a lot you know, closer together and a different pitch, and more likely this is hardened a lot better than this one. And this is one that I bought the kit just off of Amazon, and they have different blades, and I got like 20 blades for 30 bucks, last me a lifetime, and you know, they're wood cutting and bimetal, different sizes, you know, in widths. And this is it here. I mean, come on, this is going to last me a lifetime for the amount of use I'd get out of it for 30 bucks. Now this one I really wanted. Now this is from Dewalt themselves. And this one here is sharp all the way around. I mean, this is not flimsy and flexible like, well, these ones here, like these are pretty flexible. You can see the thickness of it. But this one here is for taking grout out. Old grout around windows. Maybe if you wanted to take like maybe a piece of flooring up or tile that was glued down, or yeah, but mainly this was designed for grout around windows. And you could see how, you know, old hard grout, you could cut this out, you could cut it down on the sides and then take the center out. Yeah, this is for replacing grout. And man, this thing is like pretty tough. It's not flimsy, right? And this tool here was actually 12 bucks. And I thought that was very reasonable. And so if you want to just go online and just, you know, look at all these different ones, and you can see the different prices, look at the reviews and that kind of stuff. But they're all universal. And you know, like for most brands, you'll see this labeled as universal. And you could see how the pattern is here. And you take a look and see how the pattern is here. So I mean, you can tell that, you know, they tried to standardize this as best as they can, but there are models out there that don't take this universal. You have a separate ring that comes along. But one thing I like about this kit is it came with some extra spare parts on the bottom, and these spare parts are actually for replacing this here. And that is the mechanism that goes up and down to put your particular blades in. And I guess over time this wears, but I really can't see it myself. I mean, it looks pretty good to me. And so they give you this in the kit, and they give you 2 blades. Now you can get this in various other kits out there that come with the batteries, come with other tools. So it's up to you if you're gonna, you know, decide to buy something like this. So overall, what do I think about this tool? So overall, you know what? I think I would have loved to have this tool 40 years ago. I don't think it was ever like invented, you know, I could say 40 years ago. I don't think these existed. I'm not too sure. But I think this is pretty slick. Now, how much use am I going to get out of it? Well, I'm going to demonstrate something that I did at my place when I was using this tool. And I thought, how am I going to get around this? Because I went and bought, you know, one of them entranceway pieces of strips that goes between one transition of the flooring, say to carpet, or in this particular situation, it was a transition that goes in between the flooring and a cupboard or a closet. And usually you put down a metal strip first, you sink it into the ground, and then you take this piece of material and you snap it in on top. Well, I couldn't use that transition material, and I'm going to show you the reason why and how this resulted. And I'm going to demonstrate this for you. And you might find this very interesting, because this just doesn't just cut wood or metal. It cuts plastic. It cuts all kinds of stuff. And I'm doing all kinds of interesting projects, and this will come in handy for me. So let's just show a little bit of a demonstration on what I use this for a transition from one room to another. Okay, so here's a little scrap piece of transition material here, and you can see the profile there, and you can see where it's got a track in there, and it's got 2 ribs, and this just snaps into the metal piece that goes on your floor for a transition. Well, I looked at mine and I could figure out, okay, so if I were to cut one of these ribs off here, then it would work perfectly. And all I did was just set it down and put some silicone underneath, let it drop down, let it dry, and it's perfect, just perfect. So how would you cut one of these? And I tell you something, if you take a look at that profile there, trying to get a Dremel tool in there, you're not cutting this with a knife. Not unless you want to just like kill yourself. I mean, there's no way you're going to cut that with a knife. It's way too thick and way too hard. Let's show you what I did with this multi-tool, and it is slick. I'm just going to do a section of it. Now, I had to do 4 feet because this comes in a, I believe, a 6-foot length, and I did 4 feet, and I'll show you how easy it is and how fast it was just to do something like this that is one of them unique situations where you could use a multi-tool like this. And that's all I had to do was take off a strip like this. Okay, now I promised I was going to show you cutting me a piece of wood. Okay, I'm going to show you this thing will cut a piece of wood, because you have to actually, if you're going to make a video about this multi-tool, you have to show cutting a piece of wood. So let's get cutting a piece of wood right now. Okay, so let's cut a piece of wood. There, wasn't that slicker? Yeah, this thing here, it goes through wood like, I mean, come on. I mean, that is, if you don't think that's slick, well, I'm telling you, this thing is slick. Well, thanks for joining me here today, and thanks for letting me show you this. Well, I'm saying it's a pretty slick tool, right? You know, at first I was saying you really don't need it, but for me, yeah, I love this thing. I think it's just super slick. I wish I had this 40 years ago. And thanks for joining me on another a real review of tools that I buy. I review them with my own opinions, my own views, and come back again next week, and we'll have something interesting for you as well, because you know what? I've been upgrading my tools over time, and I have some tools that are so old and wore out that I just couldn't use them in my renovation in my basement. So I'm upgrading, and I'm going to show some of them in the future too. So thanks for joining me here today. Come back again. If you haven't seen this channel before, well, you're quite welcome to subscribe and have some more fun with me as we go along with more reviews. Cheers.